On today's episode, we're going to talk a little bit about Nancy Pelosi and her boy, who went over to Taiwan and why that is. Jim's going to review a timeline for January 6th. Some pretty interesting stuff there. Minnesota Teachers Union. We'll tell you everything that's going on with them. You won't believe it. And we're going to talk a little bit about the Pfizer CEO and what's gone on with him this past week. That and our interview with Tanya Kacsan, the chapter chair for the Clay County, Florida Moms for Liberty group. Stay tuned for that and much more on this episode of the Two Guys, One Coup podcast.
Welcome to the Two Guys, One Coup podcast with Dale and Jim, where the truth matters and progressives' feelings don't. We bring you the facts from the perspective of two average, everyday guys who will never apologize for being America first, for adhering to our great Constitution, and for saluting the flag that our brothers and sisters have fought and died for. And now, here's Dale and Jim.
Jim, how are you today?
Doing well. How about yourself?
Doing great. Doing great. Did you have a good weekend?
Sure. Celebrated.
Sure.
Mrs. Jim's birthday.
29th birthday.
So,
Yep. Happy 29th, Mrs.
So
Jim.
Considering I have a 26-year-old child, I'll be going to jail anytime soon.
Listen,
now.
the miracles of modern medicine, Jim. I mean, it is what it is.
I mean, with some of the stories we're hearing coming out now, I'm assuming that's going to become legal pretty soon. So,
oh, dear Jesus, let's hope not.
Horrible. The far left is out there.
The far left is so far out there, Jim, that I can't. It's almost it's like I go out and look and I research and I'm trying to fathom. Does any of this make sense to me? Like, is there anything they're saying where I can go and say, yeah, I kind of agree with that? I can't find one. Can you?
No.
I literally can't find one.
And the sad thing about it is, we've talked about this how many times. We have a radical side of the conservative, right? We have that. But they're not running our party. Whereas they're radical of the left. They're running our country.
Oh, I know.
I mean, it's
like the entire country.
I mean, we talked, from this stupid climate bill. Let's face it, that's all it was. It was climate bill to help pay for all this climate crap that, oh, by the way, we're going to have some food shortages, but more on that in later shows.
So, that's for sure. We're going to have food shortages. We're going to have supply chain issues that haven't been taken care of.
And you better enjoy plant-based food.
Plant-based
I'm not kidding
food.
you. That's from everything I'm reading right now. Basically, it's just get ready.
What's it all going to be like? Soy crap and all that?
Well, it's whatever those, whatever the Impossible Burgers are or whatever those.
Impossible to eat.
Yeah, there's no beef in it. And,
where's
because,
the beef?
Well, you know why, right?
Why? Because cows emit
11%
gases.
11% of the.
It's from cow farms.
I don't have a straight face. So when we had the Ice Age, and all the ice melted during the Ice Age, it was the dinosaur farts.
I mean, those some big dinosaurs. I mean, can you imagine those farts?
Climate change, people. They're just.
I know. I can't get over climate change. I mean, enough already. Cow farts. I mean, this is ridiculous. I will not listen. I don't know what I would have to do to not eat an Impossible Burger or some sort of ridiculous plant-based. I mean, it's a whole new level of veganism, right? I mean, it's like
that's what it is.
We're all going to be weak, feeble little weaklings. I mean,
I don't know if there's enough ketchup and mustard.
Yeah,
to get me to eat a soy burger. I'm sorry.
I
God love you for those of you who eat it. That is not an insult to you guys. I prefer the beef. That's all.
No, but you ever notice with those what's the word I want to think of? Weirdo vegans. You ever notice that? Did I offend anybody?
Probably. I hope so.
You ever notice that? But they want all their food to taste like meat.
Yeah,
like, it tastes just like a burger.
Yeah.
Burger,
they need a damn burger.
Then let us, or at least let us eat a burger. It's fine. You know, don't they know when we eat cows, it's actually saving them from eating the food they're eating?
But if you think about it, we're
eat
also saving the
grass.
environment too.
Yeah, from the farts, from the crazy farts, the cow farts. Every time you slaughter a little calf for your veal parmesan, just think about how much you're saving the environment. Yeah, it's crazy. I'm not going to eat no Impossible Burger. I'm not going to eat a burger that is made out of. So I think I remember I was maybe in school, elementary, maybe middle school. I don't know, but they had soy burgers. I don't know if it was actually beef back then. I think it was some sort of soy substance, right, on this burger. And I was like, I actually like this. This isn't bad. So it had to be some sort of meat in there. I was like, okay, maybe that's something I can work my way. I've never had an Impossible Burger. I don't know. I don't even know what it looks like. Never. For one, I don't go to Burger King, so I don't know that either.
But I'm just saying, like it has seeds in it.
That's like from the wheat. That's like yeah. I mean, it doesn't look like it has seeds.
Yeah, if you look at all the pictures and stuff on it,
it's got seeds.
It doesn't look like that.
I'm not gonna eat seed burgers, man. Come on.
I don't know. Man. Look, if people out there, if you eat that, fine. I mean, we're gonna make fun of you. That's just what we do.
Those people that eat that, they've got like a grayish tint to their skin. I mean, like, there's just some. They're not. They seem weak and feeble. They seem like they're just not getting what the human body is intended to. Did God create us to eat meat? I believe. Don't you? I mean, I think, right?
He wouldn't have created cows.
Oh, that's right.
And before, when they had when the Flintstones had the Brontosaurus
burger. Yeah, Flintstones weren't eating.
That was based on truth. What?
The Impossible Brontosaurus burger? Come on.
Yeah, you didn't see the Flintstones eating.
Yeah, but Dabba don't. I mean, come on. That's not going to happen. So, Jim, we've got stuff to talk about today. All sorts of stuff that you will find highly interesting.
Yep.
Of course, including our interview with Tanya Kacsan, who is the chapter chair for the Clay County, Florida Moms for Liberty. Yep. And like all of them, they have their own issues going on, that they have their own fight that they're battling, and the people they're battling within the school boards and the Department of Educations and all that, and the unions, you name it. She will tell you all about it. She was great, so we appreciate her coming on and giving her time to tell us all about it and to tell all of you out there about what's going on. School issues continue as school has started almost everywhere. I know there's some places that start after Labor Day, maybe still.
Yeah.
But down here in the South, it's in full force. I think in Indiana, it's pretty much started, hasn't it? Everywhere?
Around us, everywhere. Yep.
Everywhere it has. So, and guess what, folks? They're not giving up the school boards and the teachers and those who want to indoctrinate your kids. They're like Jim
you should
says,
see some of the
they're doubling down.
Some of the questionnaires that are coming out.
Oh, I mean,
it's and we'll have that on as we move forward and stuff because we've got others. We have lawsuits.
Correct.
Lawsuits popping up all over the place.
Yep.
It's kind of ironic for stuff that's not really happening.
Yeah, that's right, teachers.
Man.
That's right. Come on, man. It's not happening anywhere. I'm a Hillsborough County history teacher for 30 years, man. It's not happening. Well, it's funny how it's not happening because the proof's there. It's just you don't want to open your hippie ass eyes.
Or you agree with what's going on.
Or you agree, which he looked like the type that would.
Oh, I would think so.
I don't want to be accusatory, but he seemed a little, he was off.
Yeah.
Dude was off. If you don't know what we're talking about, it was one of the protester dudes down in Tampa. But, he was clearly, he had some screws loose there.
Couple, 2 or 3.
I don't think they installed screws. So it's not loose. It's just a jumbled mess of bullshit up there. So, Jim, I feel like I want you to go first. But first, before we get into that, did you want to talk about Nancy Pelosi real quick and what's going on there?
Well, know how we always said, we always try to figure out why in the hell is she going over there? And because it's why are we sending the Speaker of the House over to Taiwan. Why is this happening? Well, one,
Yep.
our president can't get rid of COVID, and we got Giggly Pete as the as the vice president. But Nancy is not the one that I would send. Don't we have a Secretary of State? I don't know.
I think,
you know, I
I
thought-
don't.
Well,
Do we ever
anyway,
know who that is?
just
in this
guys, I
administration?
just need you to understand this, okay?
Mhm. Yeah.
Pelosi secretly met Taiwan chip manufacturer
Oh,
during her trip
know.
over there. So what's the significance of this, did you say? Pelosi's son.
I did. Oh.
Pelosi's son went with
Yeah.
her.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Oh, and by the
Huh.
way, Pelosi's son is the second largest stakeholder in China related company. But
You're kidding me.
no business was discussed.
Ah.
Why did the little prick go? Why did? And I'm sorry. Yes, I called him a prick.
Who
So,
cares?
Mom, if you're listening, I apologize. So,
Oh.
okay, so Paul Jr. has the second largest stake in a related Chinese company. Pelosi claimed her son didn't participate in business dealings on the
Of
trip,
course not.
like the Joe and Hunter Biden show in the past. Remember, 10% for the big guy?
Yeah,
Well-
we all remember.
Now, when all these, I don't know if you remember, but when the picture came out,
Mhm.
people were questioning, is that Paul Jr. in the back? Is that,
Yeah. Like,
you know,
why is
they
he-
were, well, it was proven. It was.
Yep.
So it was confirmed that Paul Pelosi Jr. with his mom, Pelosi was asked about this last week. She claimed that he was her escort and was absolutely not involved in any business dealings. But of
course
course,
not.
Nancy can't be trusted with anything.
Of course not.
So,
I
let's
wonder.
see.
I wonder if Jim. I wonder if the FBI will raid their home to come up with some of the maybe
I doubt it.
try to get some of the emails or the text
They'll
messages.
probably
I'm
raid.
sure they will.
They'll probably raid Trump again to find some documents. But TSM is the ninth largest company in the world with a market cap of almost $500 billion. They currently
Wow.
are planning to build a brand new $12 billion facility in Arizona, which we already know her husband did a pretty good deal on that one.
Isn't that like the NVIDIA chips, NVI or something? I
Yeah,
can't remember the
yeah,
name.
yeah.
But yeah, that's it.
So, and now the politicians in Taiwan, when they're hearing about all this stuff, now the politicians in Taiwan are getting a little antsy because
Yeah.
now they're asking what the exact reason for her
Mhm.
trip was. They didn't know
who's
she
who's
met
asking this?
with them. Taiwanese politicians,
Oh,
not our
they didn't-
politicians, because our politicians are idiots. They
Yeah,
don't give a shit. You know,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
some of the Republicans are sitting back just letting the country fall because it's not us. It's not us.
Yeah,
And then, of
that's
course,
right.
you know, and then voting for these ridiculous spending bills that are going out there.
Yeah.
But Mother Earth is happy with us. I digress. So anyway, her son owns 700,000 shares in the Taiwanese law firm, or
Lovely.
Taiwanese firm that does the chips. So
Mhm.
anyway,
Lovely.
read about it.
Lovely.
Oh, by the way, if you are on CNN and MSNBC, so I did not see
Yeah.
this story there.
Yeah, boy, I
did not
just
see
it,
it.
it must be made up
Yeah.
because it's not there. I mean,
So-
CNN, you know, the beacon of
So-
truth and honesty.
Anyway, Nancy
yeah,
Pelosi
well,
again is just
and then-
they're dirty. And I'm
dirty.
gonna tell you, she is not the only politician that has taken advantage of
No.
this. We've talked about
Hey.
McConnell, we've talked about other people, but
Just this past weekend or today or something like that, five Congress people made a surprise trip over to
Yep.
Taiwan.
Yep.
You saw that, right?
yep.
What's that about? It was 4 Democrats, 1 Republican. What's that about?
Mhm.
Do you suppose?
Yeah.
Mhm. So a surprise, just a surprise visit to Taiwan in the midst of all of this nonsense between them and China.
Yeah,
and all
because
that.
we all know they're gonna help.
Yeah, of course they are. Of course they are. They're going to help. And
China.
and
Oh
I,
my
like
God,
I
they-
said, I
They sent
expect the. Yeah, go on.
They sent 5 congressmen over to Taiwan. Back up! Let's leave! Retreat! Retreat! I just don't think it's gonna happen. Sorry.
Nothing to see here, folks. Nothing to see here.
We
It's
support
gonna be
you
crazy.
100%, Taiwan, until that first bomb drops, and we're getting the hell out of here.
Hell out of here. That's right.
Good luck speaking Mandarin or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's crazy. Nothing's going to happen. I suppose the FBI will raid.
Yeah.
The
I think
homes
so.
Of Paul Pelosi, Nancy Pelosi, everybody out there. I'm sure the IRS says now.
I think they're waiting. Oh, by the way, I love that.
The IRS.
The IRSS, that was good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think I coined that. I haven't seen it anywhere else. The IRSS. So just in case you guys want to know.
Somebody needs to explain to me why. But again, for those of you
why
who
they
use
need
Venmo,
weapons?
Venmo and other cash apps, you'll find out here pretty soon.
That's why. Nobody's going to ask that. Jim, why do you need an AR-15? Oh, but nobody's going to ask why an IRS agent needs to be armed. Mm-hmm. So craziness in this world. Jim, let's get into our first segment. We got a lot to get through today.
Sorry about that, and I just had to add that.
No. We wanted to talk about it. That's nothing to see here with the Pelosi's again. Everything's good. Nothing to see. Jim, let's go on. First segment, you're up.
Okay, so real quick, I want to January 6th, we talk about it on, and we had a nice little conversation with our friends in Tampa, which what it had to do with the Moms for Liberty, I don't know, but they brought it up.
Speaking of that, before you go on, Jim, and I don't mean to interrupt, but I had some family members kind of looking up Two Guys, One Coup, on like Google it, like what comes up and all that. Well, guess what popped up that I'd never even seen before?
What's that?
It was a quick little video from our good friend who had his camera in our face
the entire time
with me asking me about, I went on your Twitter, I see that you're a Trump supporter. So that whole segment up until the point where I give him my answer. Yeah, I see. So you don't think January 6th was an insurrection? Let me explain. Boop, that's it. Video ends.
So they missed all the explanation about the gates being open.
I missed everything, the videos and all this. And the fact that I said there were some bad players there. I don't disagree with that. The whole conversation, just me saying, I don't think it was an insurrection. Dale, you're a dick. It's crazy. But
there was some factual there.
At least he got that right.
The only facts about... I'm sorry, I love you, man. You know that.
Oh, I love you. I love you too, Jim. Jim, please go on with your story.
As this leads in, and again, I'm just going to go over this because this timeline is very important to understand. Because if they would have listened to this timeline, that would never would have happened.
Of course not. Is this new information or just stuff that really?
I think it
really puts it in perspective.
It's new information in terms that it's a timeline. Okay. So I'm going to go in, because we've always heard that. I'm going to go over a lot of this stuff. I'm going to because we've known about it, right? We know that it's like, well, for one, Trump and several aides have steadfastly maintained they offered to send at least 10,000 National Guard troops to Washington to aid in crowd control. But the overture was rejected by Congress and the D.C. officials. So we know
that to be true.
Okay,
we know that to be true.
It's now coming into a timeline. But ironically, the January 6th committee, they're not convinced. Okay.
Oh, they didn't even really review that, did they?
No, they didn't have to because they're not convinced.
Hey, by the way, that's over, right? The hearings?
Oh, I don't know. Is it?
That's what I heard. What happened?
It's about to be here, hopefully after tomorrow.
Yeah, Liz Cheney, right?
Yep, we're open. Yeah,
cut off the.
I don't even think her dad's going to be able to help her. So okay.
No.
So here's the first thing that happened, folks. The Pentagon first offered the National Guard troops to the Capitol Police on January 2nd. A Department of Defense official contacted Capitol Police Deputy Chief Sean Gallagher to see if a request for troops was forthcoming, but the offer was quickly rejected after discussion with then Chief Steve Sund, Capitol Police Chief. Okay.
Yeah.
The sole entry on January 2nd in the Capitol Police timeline states Carol Corbin, Department of Defense, text United States Capitol Police Deputy Chief Sean Gallagher, Protective Services Bureau, to determine whether the USCP is considering a request for the National Guard soldiers on January 6th. That's all that was on there.
Yeah. Wow.
January 3rd, Capitol Police released an updated security assessment regarding the upcoming rally, which indicated a chance of armed protesters. Due to these tense political environment following the 2020 election, the threat of disruptive actions or violence cannot be ruled out. It stated supporters of the current president see January 6, 2021 as the last opportunity to overturn the results of the presidential election. This sense of desperation and disappointment may lead to more than an incentive to become... I'm sorry, they had to add that. Anyway.
I know.
On January 4th, Sund
Yep.
started seeking permission for security assistance from Senate Sergeant at Arms Michael Strenger and House Sergeant at Arms Paul Irving.
Mm-hmm.
His request was denied.
Yeah. Did they say why?
Nope.
Anybody
He
say
notified
why?
General William Walker, commander of the D.C. National Guard, about the need for support. But the timeline stated that Sund does not have the authority to request at this time. Walker told Sund if the chief could get approval from Capitol officials, he would deploy 125 troops. So the House and the Senate Sergeant at Arms said no.
No.
As Sund's requests were being rebutted, the Pentagon was moving ahead with its own plans to get Trump to authorize National Guard troops if Congress requested them. According to a memo penned by the Pentagon Inspector General, the Defense Department offered Congress assistance before January 6th. On Sunday, January 3rd, then Acting Defense Secretary Christopher Miller, Joint Chiefs of Staff Chairman General Mark Milley, White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, and Chief of Staff for the Department of Defense Kash Patel met with Trump on national security matters. Toward the end of the meeting, Trump brought up the number of protesters expected on January 6th and discussed making sure it was a safe event by providing a National Guard presence. This has been mentioned many times.
Many times.
Except in the January 6th hearing.
Of course.
A Vanity Fair reporter who followed Miller in the last weeks of Trump's administration detailed the remark in a report published later. The reporter indicated that the exchange took place January 5th, while the Inspector General placed it on January 3rd. After discussing Iran, the Vanity Fair report stated that the conversation suddenly switched gears when Trump asked Miller how many troops the Pentagon was planning to deploy on January 6th. Now, Vanity Fair is not a very pro-Trump thing.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So
Correct.
he quoted Trump saying, Trump asked Miller how many troops the Pentagon was planning to deploy. When Miller told the president they would supply any National Guard support that was requested, Trump replied, "You're going to need 10,000 people." Under the law, a president can authorize the use of National Guard. However, local officials must request the National Guard domestic deployment.
Wow.
I'm almost done. The Inspector General's memo was provided insight into officials' fears about involving the National Guard due to concern it could create the perception of a military coup or martial law because instituted as the election results were certified by Congress. Army Secretary Ryan McCarthy told the inspector he did not want to create a perception that the military was involved in the electoral process, according to the memo.
Well, how nice of him.
On January 5th, Washington, the wonderful Washington mayor, Muriel Bowser, wrote a letter to Miller and other officials and the Justice and Defense Departments asking the National Guard troops not to be deployed
specifically
unless the local Metropolitan Police Department signed off. To be clear, the District of Columbia is not requesting other federal law enforcement personnel and discourages any additional deployment without immediate notification to and a consultation with the MPD. If such plans are underway, Bowser wrote in the letter. So basically they're saying the D.C. police is handling this. Did you see any D.C. police there? Okay, I did not. I just want to make sure that anybody saw that. Yep. She noted that the
I saw a lot of shady Capitol police, but I didn't see any DC
that were
police
opening the doors and standing off to the side as they were rushing into a building that you have so many times stated has electric magnetic locks. You're not getting in.
Pound doors.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Have to be open from the inside. But anyways, go on.
No. She noted that the Metropolitan Police Department was well trained and prepared to lead the way to ensure the safety of anyone present on the January 6th political rallies. So there you have it, folks. January 6th is not going to discuss this. They're not.
No.
They're. But what we have found, President Trump had asked numerous times,
Numerous. Which
"Do
we
you need?"
knew. Yeah.
And guys, all I'm asking you to go look at the footage. Look
Yeah,
at the footage on the
just look
side
at it.
where it shows the Capitol Police opening the door and people just running in.
Correct.
Look at the one guy, one of the protesters, who is pleading with the Capitol Police on the outside of it, saying,
something.
"This is our Capitol building. They're invading our Capitol building. Why don't you guys do something?"
Yep.
And they just stand there.
Yep.
Guys, they were directed to stand there for a reason. Yep.
Yep. They
were.
And
Ray
look
Epps,
look at the video footage of Ray Epps, and where is he still? Where's he still? I'll say it 100 times till they arrest this son of a bitch. Where?
Yeah, his
he?
trial was interesting. Oh wait.
Oh yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Oh,
Oh
wait.
wait. The public one, the one they put on in prime time so everyone could see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a hell of a trial.
Yeah. So
Jim, the whole January 6th thing is such a hoax.
It is. It's
a
part,
hoax.
and which is why this raid happened.
Again.
They're trying to get it to where, but I love what one commentator said. And it was God, was it? I can't remember his name. Sorry, this is bad journalism again. But but what basically what happened is they're saying that this now ensured Trump to run, and which really Biden kind of wants anyway, because nobody wants any part of DeSantis.
Nope. Or a lot of others, because they think they can once again they can justify the fact that Trump loses because he's polarizing, right? He's not the establishment.
It'll become about him and not about.
It'll become about Trump and Trump and Trump, and it won't become about. It will. It is about the country, but they'll make it about Trump.
Exactly.
All the time.
Oh yeah, it's the left media that's going to make it about Trump.
That's what I'm saying. We
love Donald Trump. We do. President Trump, you were fantastic. We loved you the 4 years. You were not a racist. You were not. Every law you passed, everything that you did helped everybody out.
Helped Americans.
And we thank you for your service. Absolutely. But guys, I got to tell you, if Ron DeSantis does not, if Governor Ron DeSantis does not give you a Reagan-like feel when he speaks, if this doesn't rally the conservatives around him, and maybe he's not polling very well because a lot of people aren't familiar with him, they don't know him yet. But wait till he starts speaking.
Yeah,
it gives you that Reagan feel, and I'm jealous because the people running Florida right now, we all think Texas is the one of the better run states, which it is,
and it is.
It is. And how Abbott's only 7 points ahead of dipshit is beyond me.
Dipshit O'Rourke. Come on, that guy's such a.
Well, Beto is Latin for dipshit. You didn't know that?
Oh, well, I know that. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the nice version of
fact checkers. That was a joke.
Maybe not.
Who knows? I don't know. I don't know Latin.
We're just guessing.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but that's it for the timeline, guys. So there's more to it than what you're hearing, and some of you may or may not have known it, but that puts it into a nice little thing where President Trump was talking about it 2 to 3 days before it happened, and he was saying you need 10,000 troops.
Knew it. He knew
the mayor of D.C. and the Congress,
shocking,
and the Senate said no, thank you,
and the local police force.
Because why, Dale? Why?
Well, because you can't. If they did it, there would have been none of that. They couldn't have breached it, and they couldn't have said Trump can't run for janitor or anything anymore. That's why they couldn't have the charade of a January 6th committee. They couldn't have any of this. Yeah. It's a hoax. One in a long line of bullshit hoaxes, including this latest FBI raid, which was another freaking hoax. But anyways, Jim, nuclear codes, like they don't change the nuclear. They just leave them for all sorts of presidents. Yeah. The nuclear codes have been the same since Kennedy.
Okay, from what I understand, all of this stuff was declassified.
Yes.
For now, again,
it's unprecedented. You've never raided a president or former president. Freaking Nixon didn't get raided, right? Yeah. None of it. Yeah. And then so is your puppy okay, Jim?
Yeah, it's just
okay. No,
not
that's good.
paying any.
I'm just
She
checking.
was biting my toes, which if you notice when I
I
look
love
down
it.
during the show, my toes are getting attacked. So.
Are they? You're gonna have to show her on the show, Jim. People want to see this little.
She's away
If she
from me
got-
now, so
if she comes
next
back
time
now,
she
you gotta
comes in
show
and
her.
bite on my
Yeah.
dang toes.
Yeah.
Hurts.
There are people that love animals, Jim, that listen to us.
Hey,
so,
I told you I'm getting attached to this puppy, and I
know
never
you
would have thought in a
are.
million years it would have happened.
Little softy Jim. Little softy Jim is coming out. Okay, let's move on, Jim.
Yep.
You ready?
Yep.
Okay. Hey, Jim.
Hi, Dale.
Hi. How was your weekend? Oh, did we go through that already? Jim, what do you think about? I got a little story about the Minneapolis Teachers Union. Okay. Minneapolis,
I love
that very
Minneapolis,
that very,
which is
that very,
probably
very-
one of the best run cities in the country,
and
the Teachers
is.
Union, which
So,
are the
one of the
most normal group
best-
of people on the planet.
Put those two together.
Perfect
what
storm.
could go wrong? What could go wrong? Here's how the story starts. The craziest, most radical people in society are now teaching your kids. The latest Minnesota Teachers Union contract stipulates, Jim, you ready for this?
Mhm.
That the white teachers are to be laid off first. That seems fair, right? This has nothing to do with seniority or quality of work. It's all about the skin color, obviously. How progressive of them, to be honest. A Minneapolis Teachers Union contract stipulates that white teachers will be laid off or reassigned before educators of color. That's what they call black teachers now, I guess. They're educators of color. In the event, Minneapolis Public Schools needs to reduce staff. And why would they? I mean, why would they be planning on reducing staff when, just all the parents are pulling their kids from public school? We interrupt this story to look at, there's Bella.
Yep.
Hi, Bella. There you are. Everyone gets to see Bella now.
right. That's
So tiny, man.
Yep.
So tiny.
Okay,
Good
sorry
thing you
about
don't
that.
have good thing you don't have mouse traps set up.
I know.
That thing will be caught.
Now she's
Jim.
mad I put her down. So
Well, of course she is. Of course she is. After the Minneapolis Federation of Teachers and MPS, Minneapolis Public School, struck a deal on March 25th to end a 14-day teacher strike. They really stuck to their guns on teachers today. 14 days, 2-week vacation. I love it.
yeah, pretty much.
The two sides drew up and ratified a new collective bargaining agreement complete with various proposals. One of the proposals dealt with educators of color protections. The agreement states that if a non-white teacher is subject to excess, MPS must access a white teacher with the next least seniority. So with the next least seniority.
Right.
So does that make sense to you?
Yep.
How that is written?
Yeah, so if there's a
Yeah.
teacher of color, I guess that's what we're calling
Yeah.
them now, right?
Correct.
Teacher of color
Educator.
has been there for 1 year,
Educator. Yep.
and the next teacher in line is a white teacher that has been there for 3 years, doing very well.
Mm-hmm.
Will be
The white
ousted.
teacher
Will be ousted. The white teacher will
be
taken out
ousted.
first. Yeah.
Correct.
That sounds
Correct.
fair.
I mean, it seems absolutely fair. I mean, doesn't it?
Yeah.
There's no reason to base it on seniority and or performance or anything.
No.
Strictly skin color. That's how we should,
Yeah.
from the side that doesn't see color.
Yeah.
But anyways, starting with the spring 2023 budget tie-out cycle, if accessing a teacher who is a member of a population underrepresented among licensed teachers in the site, the district shall access the next least senior teacher who is not a member of the underrepresented population. That's us whites are part of the underrepresented.
Whatever happened to the white privilege?
I
It's
don't
not
know.
alive in the unions, I can tell you that.
It's super gone here in Minneapolis. According to the United Federation of Teachers, accessing means reducing staff in a particular school when there is a reduction in the number of available positions in a title or license area in that school. I mean, easy to follow, isn't it? What it means, folks, is Whitey's out. That's what it means, folks. I'm not trying. Whitey's out. I mean, that's what it means. So if you want to go teach children in Minneapolis, make sure you are a educator of color, please.
Oh,
Sure of
because we're having to cut teachers, Dale, explain to those people in San Francisco why we are having to cut public school teachers.
Well, gee, does it have anything to do with the fact that parents are waking up to woke, stupid agendas and pulling their children from those public school systems?
Yeah.
So doing that, really, it's just there's another downfall of pulling your child. Not only just they won't get a job and they're going to be stupid the rest of their life, as we heard, right? Yeah. Another one is that you're getting Whitey fired. So there you go, folks. Jim, real quick, I want to go on to this. I don't know why I want to do this story. I just think it's funny.
Yeah. That fresh air.
So, speaking of COVID, Pfizer CEO Albert, it's just COVID. It has nothing to do with my fresh air breaks, Jim. It's okay. I've got monkeypox COVID variant Delta Alpha 19. It's okay. Pfizer CEO Albert Bourla announced Monday that he has tested positive for COVID-19 and praised the company's vaccines while announcing his diagnosis. You can't make this shit up.
It must be the COVID link 127.
I think so. It's just they just haven't come up with that one yet. The variant, the vaccine.
No one was good as
Go on.
Omicron.
What?
Nothing was good as that one.
Oh, I know. They should just left it at Omicron. What a great name for a virus that would literally just take over the world.
Scare the hell out of everybody.
Omicron. I would like to. So here, quote from the very, very, very happy Pfizer CEO. I would like to let you know that I have tested positive for COVID-19. I am thankful to have received 4 doses of the Pfizer BioNTech vaccine, and I'm feeling well while experiencing very mild symptoms. I am isolating and have started a course of Paxlovid, right? Paxlovid? Is that? He said in a series of tweets. We have come so far in our efforts to battle this disease. Is it a disease or a virus? Is it now a disease? We have come so far in our efforts to battle this disease that I am confident I will have a speedy recovery. Are you? Because everybody is, including the unvaccinated champ.
We're not taking anything away from the people who have passed away. Okay,
I'm not. No.
Again, no, and we're not. But the thing about this is we will never know the true numbers. They were overinflated. We have states admitting that people were dying who had other conditions, but they were
like pneumonia.
Yeah, you think, which happens when you get the flu. But anyway, but that's why it's and the reason why we're talking about this is because look at what it's done.
Oh my God!
I mean, look at
shut
what
down schools, businesses. It's ruined. It's ruined lives outside of the whole death thing, right?
Yeah.
Besides that, it has made our kids dumber. It's made our schools absolutely horrible. It's made businesses fail. It's created suicides.
Yep.
It's all because, and now the CDC says, well, you don't have to get the vaccination, and the unvaxxed don't even have to stay away from the vax, and masks don't work, and there's no more social distance. You guys. You guys effed up so many lives with your bullshit scenario on this. And those of us who had, again, eyes, ears, we knew that it was all bullshit at the time. And listen, I want to finish this. Go on.
No, just thank God for the governors of the states that
the ones who
did what
said
President Trump did. You know what? Enough's enough. We're not doing this. And then look at what happened to the states that didn't. They prolonged and everything. Anyway, so I'm sorry. Go ahead.
California. So he goes on to say, I'm incredibly grateful for the tireless efforts of my Pfizer colleagues, of course, who work to make vaccines and treatments available for me and people around the world. I think the only thing Pfizer's ever done is made Viagra. That's worth it. Yeah. Jim A. chronic user of Viagra would agree. Borla concluded by focusing on Paxlovid, a drug developed by Pfizer. I was also given to President Joe Biden, who didn't get COVID 72 times lately, when he had the virus last month. Paxlovid is not approved, but is authorized for emergency use by the FDA to treat mild to moderate COVID-19 in high-risk patients 12 years old and up.
Or
Or
high-ranking officials and politicians.
weighed at least, they got to weigh at least 88 pounds. If you're a 12-year-old that weighs 87 pounds, Paxlovid is not for you. Seek a doctor for further advice.
I wouldn't be able to take it.
With positive results of SARS-CoV-2 viral testing, he wrote. This whole SARS thing, that really gets you too.
Yeah,
right?
Here we go again.
Here we go. Last week, the U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention revised its guideline. I think we just talked about this for those who test positive. Chief among these guidelines was that unvaccinated individuals no longer need to quarantine after testing positive. Pfizer CEO he's quarantining. We know that COVID-19 is here to stay, Greta Mazzetti, a CDC epidemiologist, I'm going to read these words correctly, said last week, according to the New York Times. High levels of population immunity due to vaccination and previous infection, and the many tools that we have available to protect people from severe illness and death have put us in a different place. I think they are attempting to meet up with the reality that everyone in the public is pretty much done with this pandemic, said Michael Osterman, an infectious disease expert at the University of Minnesota. Jim, this goes on a little bit. I don't need to talk more about it. It is the fact that the Pfizer CEO, who is proud of his 4 vaccinations, has tested positive for COVID. Folks, is there any irony in this? Does anybody see anybody out there? Is it just me and you, Jim, that are really looking around thinking, shit makes sense? Yeah. A vaccination. I mean, I would love it. Let's just say, for instance, let's just take an example. If little Bella, that everyone has seen now, dear little baby Bella, your beautiful puppy, if you give that dog 4 rabies vaccines and it comes down with rabies, are you going to be on that 5th rabies vaccine thinking, I'm probably not going to give her a rabies shot? I don't think this shit's working, right? Yeah. I mean, does this make sense to anybody? It doesn't work. Don't tell me that it makes, the fact now is that the new variant's coming out. There's very little symptoms and you don't really feel it. And that's all thanks to the vaccines, not the fact that we have herd immunity or anything else like that, or people are taking care of themselves better. It's strictly vaccine related. It's bullshit, Jim.
I know.
It's complete bullshit. And this guy had very little symptoms. Why did he even get tested for it? I mean, why's that?
Because it has
What's your very little symptom?
We have to keep it in news.
We have to keep it alive. That's it, Jim. And why do we have to keep it alive, Jim? I'll let you break the news to everybody.
There's something coming up in November.
I think. And it might have to do with ballot boxes or in-person voting. Because, we can't occur.
All I know is I saw
the SARS-CoV 14,001.
I saw something on Facebook, and it says donkeypox. Ruining America since 2020. Actually, probably before that. But
before that, we donkeypox.
Because we had the 8 years. Oh, by the way, they're thinking of changing monkeypox. You know why?
Yeah, why?
Did you hear?
I heard it's because it's racist.
Offensive. It's offensive and racist to some people. So we're going to have to change.
To who?
I have no idea. Monkeys? I don't know.
What are they going to call it, Jim? What's the new name? Did they come up with a new name yet?
I don't know what you can call it without offending anybody. I really crackerpox. I don't.
Even if it does offend, you can't say a word about it. That's right. That's right. Oh my gosh, I gotta go get tested for whitey pox. I don't know.
Damn crackerpox.
Honky pox. I can't take it. I got the honky pox. Oh, Jim. This is a terrible segue into our wonderful interview with Tanya.
Sorry,
Folks,
sorry, Tanya.
Tanya, listen to what she has to say. She's another
Yeah.
amazing warrior from the Moms for Liberty group, fighting the battle in Clay County, Florida, which is just southwest of Jacksonville area. You'll hear all that. But what's interesting is how you'll hear her talk about it, but just how she was, this can't be happening in our small little county. I mean, none of this can be, really. And she was an educator and a military veteran, and she's got a good background, and she's impressive. So stay tuned for that, folks. Listen to it. Jim and I will be back to wrap this up when it's done. Well, we want to welcome to the show today Tanya Kacsan. She is the chapter chair for Moms for Liberty, Clay County chapter, Clay County, Florida. Clay County is kind of west of Jacksonville area. If I'm not, so Fleming Island, like if nobody's familiar with it, we almost moved to Fleming Island. So different story. But anyways, we appreciate you coming on, and thank you for that. Tanya's a wife. She's a mother. She has 2 school-age children currently. Deep love for our country and a heart for service, much like a lot of the Moms for Liberty folks do. She's passionate about the mission for Moms for Liberty. And she believes the only way to really get things going and saving the school system is by unifying, educating, and empowering parents. I think that's around the country. That needs to be done. So she was an Air Force veteran. Thank you for your service.
Yes,
between
thank you very much.
The years of 2003 and 2008. After her military service, she completed her degree and became a teacher. She taught history and civics. Those are 2 topics that are pretty near and dear to her heart. Jim and I both are history buffs, so we understand that for sure. She didn't return to teaching after COVID, a lot of teachers did, and I'm sure we will get into that as well. She took on the role of chapter chair for Moms for Liberty, Clay County, when they launched their chapter in April of this year. So fairly new chapter to the Moms for Liberty group. She decided to take that on because even though you are not teaching education and children, it's still a passion for you. And we certainly understand that. Again, thank you for coming on the show. It's a pleasure to have you here. Tanya,
thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Really our pleasure. Like most of the interviews we've done with Moms for Liberty, they all have kind of a similar reason why they decided to do it and to get into the Moms for Liberty group. But what was yours? What was your moment where you said, this is something I just got to, do a deep dive into and join?
Well, I think a lot of other chapter chairs or even Moms for Liberty members, we were kind of looking at what's going on in our country and very frustrated. What can I do? What can I do? And I got contacted by somebody that had started a Facebook group and kind of got a couple people, but there had been no official launch. And they said, hey, you'd be perfect for this. You used to be a teacher. You understand what's going on. Recent experience, kind of a different lens because I've been in a classroom in 2020. So I said, I don't know if I have time for that. And then that little bit in your heart where you're like, but I do. Okay. Cause this is my children and I do. And so I said, okay, I'll do it. And it's really grown so quickly. Lots of really concerned parents. I will say this, that when I started, this is easy, right? We're in Northeast Florida, really pretty conservative area. I taught in these schools. Surely they're not so bad. This is going to be an easy job, right? This is going to be super easy. And when I started to pay attention to what other chapters were doing and looking into kind of the same things that they were looking in, I was like, oh my gosh. And in the 2-year time span from when I got out until now, it's night and day. I don't know how they were able to kind of infiltrate even our little area so quickly. And it's just really, really alarming. But we have the same problems as everyone else.
Yeah.
The same types of books, the same types of curriculum going on. Maybe to a lesser degree with our teachers. I will shout out to our teachers. We have some amazing teachers, and we don't have some of the same challenges in the classrooms by the teachers. It's really outside, pushing things in.
Sure. Sure.
So,
We'll get into that a little bit more. I'm certain, because we know what the outside forces are, and Clay County certainly has their share of them. Jim, do you got a question you want to?
Yeah, we ask everybody this because it intrigues us. Because when you look at what it takes to be a school board, on the school board, it doesn't take a whole lot. I mean, anybody can be
Could
on
be
there.
anybody.
Do you have school board members who in your county? Because I don't know how many different schools are in there. I don't know how many school boards you deal with. I know in our area we have like 5 different school boards. But do you have some that you feel they are with us, or are you pretty much trying to get them in with elections?
so we have because we're a small county, we have one school board that has 5 different districts.
Okay.
So we have 5 seats. So
Okay.
kind of a small board. We have one. Her name is Ashley Gilhausen. That's a current member that's up for election this year that we're
Okay.
backing. She was the single voice of reason during COVID and the masking because she was a nurse, and so her background helped her understand that some of this was really ridiculous. So she was the only voice of reason. Anyone else probably needs to go.
Wow.
The other 2 incumbents that are up for election this year are union backed and fully engaged in that movement, which goes against, in many ways, everything that we stand for. They're against parental rights. They're against any involvement for parents at all whatsoever. They don't want us to have a voice, and they bring that to the board, and it's very apparent that that's what they align with.
Are there any of those? Are any elections? Are they up for election this year as well?
There's 2 of them this year, and we have found some really amazing candidates for both of those seats that we're so excited about. I can tell you a little bit about them. We have Erin Skipper. She's also a nurse. She was a nurse by trade. Really strong for parental rights, very strong for medical freedom, which is, we need that in Clay County. We were really shocked that they mask our kids for a year. We're like, surely they won't do that to our children. Not here. We're in Clay County. And they did. And so having people with that background is really going to be important, especially as we see them start to ramp up the next thing. So I'm kind of concerned about them trying to bring masks back, and having 2 people with some knowledge is certainly going to be helpful. And then we have another seat that's open, and we're backing Michelle Hansen. She's absolutely fabulous. She taught for 18 years in Clay County the entire time. So she really knows our systems. She knows our students. She knows our families. She retired from teaching in December. So she has really seen firsthand how it's gone downhill so quickly. Nobody would have anticipated how quickly kind of those forces came into our schools. It's just, you wouldn't have anticipated that at all. But she knows. And that recent experience, I think, really brings really important insight to how we can identify where it's coming from. And then
that's great. Awesome. That is great. That is good news. Good luck to them, people in Clay County.
We're excited.
For sure.
I think we're going to get this.
Good. That is good news. You had mentioned unions. You mentioned kind of the school boards. We've gone. There's a letter that you had posted on the Facebook page that I grabbed and I read, and I was surprised. By it's from the superintendent, I believe, if I'm not wrong, the state board of it.
It's actually from the president of the CCA, which is the local.
It is okay. Can you tell us a little bit about what's so concerning about this letter and what it entails, and what can we do about it?
I sure can. So first, it did come from the local union. Our local CCA is the union. It was sent out to some teachers. A big shout out to, and like I said, we have amazing teachers in Clay. I love them. One of the teachers was like, "Oh my gosh, look what they're trying to do. Yep. Let me get this." Yeah, like, this is not good. This is not good at all. And this particular teacher happens to be very informed, and she understands what's going on. And so she's like, "This isn't even true." And they're misleading teachers. And I don't know what you can do to help us, but can you help us? And I said, sure, let me take a look. And then I don't know if you guys kind of want me to read part of it. This letter, this is what they've entitled this: Parental Rights Bill, AKA Don't Say Gay, which is what they like to call it, which is really, it's just insane. We know that the word gay doesn't appear in the bill at all. It has nothing to do with that. It just has to do with giving parents their rightful seat at the table. But I'll just read parts of it. I find it very misleading to teachers. And if I was a teacher in a classroom and I received this, I could be deceived. And I'm concerned for our teachers because ultimately it could get them in trouble.
Okay.
We'll talk about why in a second. But one part it says that federal law trumps state law. So this would imply to teachers that, hey, you better pay attention to this. Even if you're hearing something from your
Correct.
state, don't pay attention to what your state says. Let's pay attention to what the federal law says. And it goes on to say that Title IX protects students from harassment and discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity. And then a little bit further down, it says this means schools cannot discriminate against students by, for example, prohibiting access to extracurricular activities, school sports, bathrooms, and applying dress code consistent with a student's gender identity. Reading this, we would say, well, if I am a biological male, teachers would then have to allow me into
Yep.
the female restroom. The same with locker
Correct.
rooms, the same with sports. Okay, we know that that's
Correct.
not allowed in Florida. It just isn't. This isn't even finalized in Title IX. These are some suggestions made by some agencies, and there's absolutely nothing in here that's true. But if teacher was reading that and trusting that the union
Mhm.
had their best interest in heart and protecting them legally, because they called this legal guidance, protecting them legally, then they might make a wrong decision or a decision that's not in
Correct.
line with
Correct.
Florida law and Florida expectations. Have also here kind of something that has been sent out long before this that the union failed to give the teachers, which is from Manny Diaz, which is our commissioner of education. And he had a much different take on that. And he says this is to make you aware that these sub-regulatory guidance documents, that they are
Good.
not binding law. And so what we have, the situation is the union saying, you must pay attention to this, and federal law trumps anything the state says. And
Correct.
obviously that's not true. And a little bit more guidance here. It says specifically, for example, nothing in these guidance documents requires you to give biological males who identify as female access to female bathrooms, locker rooms, dorm rooms. So they're just really misleading the teachers. And it's really concerning to me because I have a 14-year-old that started high school today, right? A 14-year-old daughter. I have a sophomore that's a male. And it's very concerning to me. I don't know if my daughter's going to be safe. I've had that conversation with my kids. I think every parent should talk to them about how to be safe. Go to the bathroom with a group. Try not to go during class time. Go at class changes so there's more people around. But it's scary times when we know that these things are happening. We know that girls have not been safe because of those decisions, and it's very scary.
Exactly.
And it
Loudoun
doesn't
County
matter
comes to mind. Because of those decisions. So go on, Jim. I'm sorry.
Well, it's okay.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter if 17 girls are in this locker room that don't want this boy in this locker room. Their rights mean nothing. And that's where's the inclusiveness that we always hear from this group that, we're always inclusive. No, you're not.
No,
so
you're not.
yeah, it's disturbing in many levels.
It is, and the way they wrote it, Tanya, federal law, it's scary stuff, right? Like, my gosh, I gotta abide by the law, and they don't know, and I don't really blame them for reading this and thinking, oh, that's what I have to do, right? Because it says so, and the union says so, and it's scary because there's enough. And when you said that your daughter started school, and of course, I live in Florida, I'm in the Panhandle area. They also started school today, and a lot of things just went through my mind. I don't have children in school anymore. They're grown up. Same with Jim. But not only do they have to worry about just school safety in general, right? Again, like they do all the time, but then they're shoving this down their throats, and kids are getting in trouble. Jim says it often and good that it's a new form of bullying for the students, and it really is, and it just makes sense.
Acceptable.
It's acceptable.
It's an acceptable form of bullying.
Exactly. What is Moms for Liberty going to try to do to combat all of this? What can they do?
So I'm trying to work with national leadership to see how they can maybe help us out down here, maybe raise awareness, maybe see if our commissioner can kind of say, hey, no, we're not. That's not what we said at all, and we're going to follow the guidance of the state, and for now, and that's what we're going to do. I do believe we'll get backing from that. We have the best governor in America. We all know that.
We do.
They are going to, at the very, very end of this letter from Manny Diaz, he says that the department shall not stand idly by as federal agencies attempt to impose sexual ideology on Florida schools that risk the health, safety, and welfare of Florida students. So I'm absolutely positive that they're going to help us out, and they'll kind of make sure that our kids are protected. In the
I agree.
meantime, I think it's really important that parents do talk to their children and say, "Hey,
Mm-hmm.
the guidance I gave my daughter. If you need to go between classes and you need to take somebody with you and just don't be alone." I said the same
Correct.
thing to my son for different reasons, right? We don't want to have
Yep.
any false accusations. Don't go alone. Try to go between classes. But then to the teachers, okay, you're going to
Mm-hmm.
have to really kind of push what they say aside to you and really engage and see what the true directive is. Because according to the letter from Diaz, teachers can get a lot of trouble. Um, there's another part here where he talks about that to the extent that you do any of these things, you jeopardize the safety and well-being of Florida students and risk violating Florida law. So we don't want teachers to believe something that the union sent them and then do the wrong thing and then be held liable.
Mm-hmm.
So certainly want to get that out to teachers too. I was a teacher. I love teachers, and I hate to see them put in such a predicament where they're being pulled like that. And I believe that the vast majority of teachers in Clay County want to do the right thing, probably want no part of this at all whatsoever, but they may believe that that's what they're supposed to do.
And I think this came from the directive of Randy Weingart,
Of
the
course.
president. So I mean, it came from the top there, and it's being filtered in this way,
Mhm.
which I always say in talking to many members from Moms for Liberty group, especially in their own counties, that they're doing this stuff when there is a present there, a Moms for
Mhm.
Liberty group who's watching it, who's keeping an eye on it, who's making
Mhm.
sure that these things don't go unnoticed. It just what's happening in towns where there isn't a chapter. Um,
It's
it,
scary. Yeah.
it's scary to think about. That's for sure. You had talked about so was the union really? Was it because of the union and also some of the maybe mask guidelines and things like that that really kind of steered you away from I can't teach any longer. Like I just gotta move on or
Well, it was some of that. That I'm a true lover of
Mhm.
history. I
Mm-hmm.
love it, and I love civics, right? And that's the only thing I cared to
Mhm.
teach at all. I wasn't really interested in SEL or any of the other
Correct.
things that they want. I just didn't want to do it. And I was like, this is like destroying something that I love
Hmm.
so much, and I would rather just part with teaching with the memories of teaching real history and real civics, and not that that doesn't happen because it does. But they were putting a lot of other things on that I'm not interested in being a guidance counselor or a mental health professional. I just want to come in here and talk about the things I
Exactly.
love, and hopefully, send these children off with a firm understanding of our
Mhm.
nation's history, appreciation, hopefully some
Yeah.
patriotism, um, and understanding the role that they play in their government. And they just put a lot of things that had nothing to do with that on us, and it just wasn't something I was interested in. That and the same thing everybody else. The pay is
Yeah.
not great, the conditions are terrible,
Yeah.
whatever. It's just really not
Yeah. Yeah.
good, And so I want to help all of our teachers and be a voice, for them as well, to say, hey, if we could just get the moms and the teachers together, they wouldn't
Yep.
stand a
Mm-hmm.
chance,
Yeah.
right? And we'd be able to really, really have for our children the best
Hmm.
possible schools.
Exactly.
Okay.
And we've seen some videos and some uh, from school board members there in Clay County who have really just started bashing Moms for Liberty and calling people out by name. We've seen the curriculum and the books that have been read in front of school board members there, or have just totally been ignored by school board members there. Uh,
Or just
just
cut
cut
the
the mic.
mic, right?
That's
That's what
that's
they
right.
should
Yeah,
tell.
that's
Just
happens.
cut
Cut
the
the mic.
mic. I do that to Jim a lot on the show, Tanya, but that's for different reasons. But yeah, that's what they do, and it's just absolutely
Mhm.
frightening. Jim, you got something?
Our favorite term that Dale and I have grown accustomed to since we started is the wonderful social emotional learning, the SEL,
Mm-hmm.
basically is what it is.
Yep.
What we discovered, because on one of the recordings we did what they call 15 harmful attributes to SEL. But I
Mm-hmm.
want to ask you, in your school system, I'm going to name off, and you may know them, and if you do, okay, 5 companies that provide this. There's Second Step, Committee for Children, Learning for Justice, which is a Southern Poverty Law Center, Cassell, all caps, Casel, and Panorama. Now, we are familiar with Panorama because that's what
We are.
is in Indiana. And we talked to people from Indiana about this. Are any of these that you know of in your school district?
Not yet. That's the
Okay.
answer. Not yet. Our school district uses something called the 7 mindsets. And the Moms for Liberty group, we now, because the law says that we have to have access to it, they have to let us read it. We're going through it and seeing if there's anything objectionable. So far, I haven't found anything that was near the Panorama one's really special, but
Yeah, it sure
I
is.
haven't seen anything that's quite to that level in there. So I guess we'll see. We're working through it. It's a lot of videos that you have to watch, and we're taking
Mhm.
notes and we're working on it, but we do not have those yet.
Gotcha.
Because
Okay,
it
good.
talks about CRT, and it's what we found interesting was there's what they call 3 life cycle phases. It's the infiltration, and what the author of this article said, and you may have read it. I mean, you may have read it, but what I found interesting is infiltrations. Let's bypass this one because it's already here. Let's not waste our time on this one. Let's move to the next step, which is transformation, and then of course focus on the indoctrination. So it's interesting to me because Moms for Liberty, you're there. Every group we talk to, you are at level 2, the transformation, and because okay, fine, you snuck one in there on us. Okay, we'll give you that one. No more. And so have in your experience as your chair, has anybody reached out to you from the community, not from your group necessarily, but your community, to say, is this going on in our schools?
Every day,
Well,
every
every day.
single day.
Wow,
Good.
Every
good.
single day.
That's good.
Somebody says, "Are you finding this? Are you finding this?" And I say, "Well, just come join our page. We put it all there. If we find
Yeah.
it, we share it because that's part of it is educating the parents and letting them know what's going on." I will say that what we are finding for CRT, for the most part, and we're just now getting access to these books. Right, July 1, the law went in effect, and I don't know if you guys are paying attention to our page, but we were very engrossed in pornographic books and trying to do the best we could to get rid of some of that filth. We've got a lot of that done. Our district, they came up with a policy. We don't love it. It's very cumbersome and it's really a lot of work, but we're doing it because moms will do that, right? We're getting through that. I think we've gotten, I don't know, hundreds requests put in to get rid of what fits the legal definition of pornography. We sat at a table and said, look at the law, look at the book, look at the law, look at the book, and then make a determination. So let's not be too far. Is it really violating the law was the question. So we put a ton of work in that and we've got those requests in. It's my understanding that they went and pulled them from the shelf while they make their decisions and they're going to get back with us. So at least the students are safe from them for now. So we started looking at, okay, we got the worst of that. Let's start looking at the CRT. And I'll say that they are sneaking it in library books. That's what we're finding. There are a ton of them. So I pulled the list from other counties and, and I start searching on Destiny's, like our, online catalog. I'm like, well, we have that one and that one and that one. And some of these are just kind of no brainers. Like, I don't understand how we can have people that say, Clay County school board members, they say this, we have none of that in our schools whatsoever. None. Right. And then you type the word in Destiny system, the word woke, and the book woke pops up. Right. That's the name of the book. So we have to use some common sense with some of this stuff and just understand that. And I don't even know that the intent for everyone that's really their intention to put that in there, but we have to be smart. If the book is woke, you might want to at least read it. Right. So I don't really blame the librarians. The process is broken. They need a better process. But if it says woke, maybe read it and say, does this violate the law?
Exactly.
Other ones that I think it was called The Other Talk, Reckoning with Your White Privilege. Well, if you were coding that book and looking at the title of the book, that one should be an easy one. And I know they sneak them in some other titles that are kind of less easy to tell, but there's a lot of them that are in your face. And we got to be mindful to know that is going on.
Yeah,
it worried me because we saw this on your Dale and I talked about. We haven't talked about it on the show yet because I don't know why we haven't, but it's the book about, and I'm not going to go into detail with it, but the book about the college kid in his dorm room, and it was off the Clay County that we saw this. I think it was Tia that actually saw this on. That was pretty descriptive, and you're thinking, okay, if it's for 18 and it was 12 to 18-year-olds. And I'm like, it was Yeah.
That one wasn't
Yeah.
nearly the worst. That was the first of
That's not the
two.
worst.
Wow.
Oh, no, no. Okay, so I can tell you
Oh.
the one that bothers me in my soul the most.
Yeah.
It's a book called Push. All right, and in
Okay.
this story, this little girl is being raped by her father.
Oh
She
my
has
God.
2 children. Her
What?
her father. She has 2 children for her own father. She has oral sex with her mother. Um, and even in some parts of the book, she's being raped so much that her body reacts a positive way to what's happening to her. And it just reading that, like, I had to
Oh,
just
that
put it
is the worst.
down and pour a glass of wine, like,
Yeah,
because it was
exactly.
despicable. I'm
Disturbing.
just like, I can't believe. And that book was in my own child's high school,
Oh my
and
gosh.
it's just bad. And one of the things I noticed, kind of, we called it our summer reading project, right? We're just going to get
Sure.
as many books as we can and read it and write these book
Yeah.
reports. So we're reading this every day, and then of course we're messaging each other back and forth, and then we kind of sit down at a table and say, "This is what we found. Let's discuss which ones we want to remove." One of the things that I found most disturbing in all of that, over all the books we looked at, is the trend of like rape and sexual battery and sexual assault. The vast majority of these books are rape, and really just not, it's not like Danielle Steele romance novels, or I'll describe it like,
Yeah.
my grandma used to read the romance novels with like Fabio in the front, right? And there was this
Sure.
love
Yeah.
story and a
Yeah.
Yeah.
happily ever after. And the
Yeah.
The Harlequin romances,
those
my
kind of,
mom
yeah.
read
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
But there was like this happily ever after kind of aspect, and there was love in these books. That is not what's in our school. It's not love stories. It's just really
Wow.
despicable, and it's just so many of them. It's really like whack a mole.
Well, and
Yeah.
Yes.
12 to 18.
It's disturbing. How did you? I guess the question
Yeah. Ugh.
I have is how did you get a list of these books? Like how do you obtain that? So
Research, right?
it's
So
just
I
research.
started, yeah. So I
Okay.
started looking at, like, just looking to see what books had been banned in Florida, and then kind of
Hmm.
comparing in our destiny system what was there. And I realized that, oh, we got a bigger problem than even most other counties that you would maybe expect to have problems. We have
Yeah.
the same exact
Yeah.
things going on. And then from there, we would pull them and we bought them and we read them.
Yeah.
And these
Wow.
book reports, and it's just, I mean, we're not done. We're doing the best we can, reading as fast as we can, but
Of
it's going to
course.
be like whack-a-mole, because they're not really putting in a really solid policy to prevent it. So we're just
Hmm.
going to have to always be ever vigilant until we're able to successfully get a policy that we're happy with that prevents it.
Are you having success on getting those books removed from the shelves?
They're removing some of them, yeah. So
Are they?
and I know other counties aren't. The ones that are the most egregious.
Yeah.
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure. And I
Yeah.
even had an attorney, I
Oh,
won't give names, but like, can you just
Hmm.
help me understand, does this or does it not violate the law? Because I'm not a lawyer, I was a teacher and a
Agreed.
project
because
manager.
that's child
Oh yeah,
pornography.
those would violate the law. So then we knew kind of what to look for and what was
Good.
a violation of the law and what wasn't.
Wow. Good. Well, I'm glad you got that help. That was a good way to approach it too, because I don't know legally either. What my
Yeah,
common
well,
sense tells me
Mhm.
mhm,
that is just not right.
right?
Lawfully though, it's a different story. So
Yeah,
I'm glad that it fell into my common sense thinking that it
yeah,
just was not proper. That's
right.
incredible to me. That's incredible to me. So folks listening out there, that's happening
Yeah.
across the nation, everywhere, and you have to be
Everywhere.
diligent to research it. You guys are definitely putting in that work. That's incredible, and we appreciate it. Ourselves, for future children, future generations, current ones. I know we all do appreciate that. Um, Last thing, really, just to wrap it up, what's next for you and the members and the chapter there? Is it growing? Are you getting more support?
Yes.
Is there going to be? There's a lot of chapters in Florida already.
Mhm.
Certainly, the whole state isn't filled, so we need that. Are you getting kind of questions from
Mhm.
other areas that don't have
Yeah.
chapters? Like, we want to start one. We want to. What's going
Yeah, a
on with
little
you
bit.
there?
I'm still kind of in the learning phase. We started in our chapter in April, so
You did.
I'm still kind of learning and getting my sea legs. But certainly, and I will say that the other chapters around have been so helpful.
Have
There's
they?
everybody's approachable. It's like, what do I do with this or that? Everybody's been very
Mhm.
approachable. I think our next steps really for Clay County, is to start looking through the textbooks, because that's something that we haven't really had. I mean, we have access now,
Mhm.
but like I said, we're trying to get the porn out first. So
I
we're going to
know.
start looking at the curriculum. I'm sure there's things in there that shouldn't be there, and then trying to work to remove that while growing
Mhm.
our chapter. We did have our very first like empowering parents rally, because one of the things that's
Good.
important to me is to get knowledge into the hands of parents. So kind of handing them that Bill of Rights and what it means, and how to challenge materials and what your rights are. And yeah, you can look at your child's textbook and you can read it all. And you need you're required to give you access to that, and that we need to start looking at it. And then I have eyes, and like there's a couple of other moms, but we have to all be looking, because I can't read it all. And so that's kind of the goal, is to get more parents engaged. I would love to have a parent at least at every single grade level looking at every single piece of curriculum.
Yep.
That's kind of a goal that I have, so that we can be watchful on it, because I think that in Clay County, we had this envisioned this like protective bubble over where we lived, because we're in this tiny little place, and we're kind of sick to ourselves, and we just thought there was this like bubble that protected us. And I tell the moms all the time, like, we have to be that shield now, because there is no shield. The laws are there, but if we don't make sure they're enforced, they won't be.
Correct.
So just make sure that we're knowledgeable of that, and then working towards making sure everything is what it should be, and that the laws are upheld in Clay County, because we have great laws. We want them upheld.
Absolutely. Jim, any parting words?
Thank you for everything you do. Keep up the fight. You have people like us and many other people out there that support what Moms for Liberty is doing. We know you have your people don't, but we're for you, and we will. And Dale will mention this to you again, but we want to have you back later, especially as the year goes on and you find out more of the, because we want to get this stuff out there as much as success stories as well.
Correct.
Because I'm sure we're going to start seeing some of those. So thank you for your service. We really.
Yeah, we do. We appreciate it. And thank you. We know that the Moms for Liberty folks are really taking a lot of rocks and arrows thrown at them, and unjustly, that's for sure. And you fit the bill, and it seems like you're doing your chapter proud, and they should be honored to have you as their chapter chair. So, Tanya, thank you again for coming on and giving us this information. Please do stay in touch. I'll stay in touch with you. We will as well as things develop. And come back on anytime you have anything else you want to report or talk about. We're more than happy to have you on. So thank you again. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Again, thank you, Tanya, for coming on the show, for your insight, your knowledge, your continued fight. We appreciate it, because it's just another amazing person out there that's battling not just for her own kids, but for every kid. And until you do that, and until you really see the negativity they're getting, you won't know what it's like. I can't even imagine. Personal attacks. I mean, it's everything out there, folks. And they don't care. They're like, bring it on. We don't care, because the children are more important. Jim, what do you think of Tanya?
Again, another one of the Moms for Liberty people that we're interviewing that I don't see the evil that the media plays it out to be. They are wonderful people. They are moms. In a lot of cases, they're moms, or they had moms. All of them were moms that at one time had kids in school or have kids in school, and they care about
some were
their
teachers,
kids.
some were not, some have both.
For those people out there who, don't tell us what to do in a school if you're not a teacher. Well, there's an awful lot of ex-teachers and current teachers involved in Moms for Liberty that are pushing for this. So, but just a wonderful, wonderful person who's out to not bash gays.
Nope.
Not bash transgender people.
Not burn books.
Just to say, guys, why are kids?
Yep.
Why?
Yep. Why?
Why the children?
So they know why now. They're saying stop with the children. That's it. We've had enough. We aren't taking it anymore. So we all know why now. But now it's the fact that they are stopping it, and as best as they can. They still need help, folks. They still need people to join. They still need people to support them. Chapter out there that's in your area, please join. One that isn't, please start one. Really, please start one. They will walk you through it, and they got your back. I mean, this leadership.
You can't just start one. You have to be approved by the.
You have to be approved.
You have to be approved.
But they walk you through all that.
Yep.
And they have a process in place to make sure that you are at the best interest of parents' rights and of children's protection.
They really start your website. You don't have to worry about that. They do it for you. They
vet.
So-
They vet their chapter chairs and their staff quite well, and it's amazing. So, Tanya, thank you again for coming on. We really do appreciate that. Folks, you just got to stay tuned for Thursday's show as well. We have back on the show January Littlejohn and her attorney, Bernadette Broyles. Title IX is in full force, folks.
Yep.
They're going to give us updates on it all, including some additional information and problems that are going on within the school system and gender ideology that continue still. Again, they were on, it's been a couple months now, hasn't it, Jim? Since January and Bernadette were on. We appreciate it. They've given us some more time. They will be on Thursday's show. And then we have more interviews with folks next week as well that'll be on the shows. But, guys, we really do appreciate it. Jim, you have anything else to add to today's episode? Or is that it?
It was good. It was fun.
It was good. Yep. Thank you for your contribution, folks. Thank you for your support still.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark Kramer of the Conservative Podcast, for our intro and outro. We do appreciate that still. Please go support him. It's important, too. He's very good at what he does. And so go listen to him as well. Folks, thank you again. And that's it. We'll see you all on Thursday. Jim, have a good evening.
You too, sir.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Two Guys, One Coup podcast with Dale and Jim. Remember, you can watch on YouTube and Rumble and listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. And if you like what you hear, go ahead and give us a 5-star review. We really appreciate it, and it helps others find us when searching for podcasts. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and TikTok. Just search for Two Guys, One Coup. That's the number 2, guys, and the number 1, Coup, C-O-U-P. Thanks again for listening to the Two Guys, One Coup podcast, and God bless the United States of America.